Hello, welcome to the second installment of Pottery with Paul. We've got some new pots that we'd like to show you, and everybody seemed to have enjoyed the last video that we made, and we're enjoying the process too. I'm very capably being photographed and manipulated and otherwise moved around the table by my friend George Lees, who's standing behind the camera. And I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new pots to show you, and they'll be specially favored by camera. The still photographs will be available on the website, of course, and all of these pots will shortly be available at the show place in New York City, and so you can connect to it there. But I wanted to sort of pick them up one at a time and show them individually to you and describe their particular merits, because it's a nice little group and nothing shows them like the camera bouncing around in all dimensions. So let's pick up this first one first because it's closest. Here's a lovely pot. I hope that the ultraviolet reflections on this one show very nicely. The shape is sort of neo-Egyptian. It's a very classical piece. Very, very brilliant gold interior. Sort of modeled areas of flow all along, and it's almost an indefinable color. It's kind of a bright fuchsia iridescence. There are streaks of gold coming down, streaks of almost a touch of blue-green, dove gray. It's almost an impossible color to describe. One of the more interesting features of this piece is that it has a collar of gold, little droplets in increments all the way around the rim. And in the initial firing, they were intended to be blue, and I thought that they would flow more than they did. And it was one of those happy accidents of the kiln that the content inside the glaze actually caused them to fuse into a bright collar or necklace of gold, and it gave this piece a real extra panache. It's very variable in color. It's got a lot of visual interest for something that's still very delicate, and I think it would make a nice addition to any collection. Let's go on to the next piece. Here's sort of a little miniature homage to Jackson Pollock, for want of a better description. The iridescence on it's subtle, but it's quite lovely. It's a nice little bottle shape, nice cabinet piece. See, it sits nicely in the hand. There are streaks of brilliant fiery orange coming down over a sort of mottled violet, and then over top of that the principal iridescence is drawn from darker streaks of sort of cobalt blue, which are iridescent at intervals. It's got a bright iridescent interior. It's a very dramatic little piece for the money, and I think you would be very happy having it. Now let's see what else we've got here. Now, drama is definitely the keynote with this piece. It's unusual for me to sort of depart from my standard classical shapes, even though this one is a Persian shape in inspiration. It's kind of a Katrich original. It's a difficult piece to throw. It undulates in and out multiple times. It's either like a Persian rose water sprinkler or a antique glass insulator. Hard to know which. It is the deepest violet. It has iridescent reflections at intervals all about, and it looks as though it's covered with waves of iridescent water that have sort of frozen themselves at each increment as it flows downward. It's sort of a bright magenta interior that's iridescent as well. It's a very potent little pot, and it's got a lot going on, but it's an interesting shape. It's not discordant, but there's a lot of movement and flow. It's different on every side despite the sort of uniformity of the glaze. It's a nice piece. And we're going to work our way up in size, if not in color. A lot of nice blues in this batch. I think every pot is more or less blue with the exception of this one. Here's a piece that's sort of shape-wise, I guess, is a little bit... I was looking at I was looking at some Danish modern pots at the time, and I like sometimes these clean cylindrical shapes. This is a piece with a sort of overall metallic blue color. It varies from little touches of dark violet and magenta up all the way into areas of really sort of deep ultramarine. Nice interior. And it looks as if it's covered with droplets of frozen rain at increments. It's like frost on a window. It's a very elegant little piece. Nice addition to a collection. It's very clean. It's not going to compete. This would look good with somebody with a modernist interior. Not all of my collectors are arts and crafts collectors, and I think this would go just about every place. And as we all know, I don't imitate other people's pottery, but influences do creep in. Now, a couple of the big ones here. So we move along. We've got two real beauties here. This is a large pot for me. It's just at the larger skew of the collection. Somebody who's looking for a more ambitious pot than they might already have would probably enjoy this one very much. It's a little sort of seaside symphony. It's sort of a tortoiseshell effect of various blues sort of meeting each other at levels and layers like waves on an ocean. But there is a lot visually going on with this piece. There are maybe 7, 8 different glazes in combination, as I recall, and even though the colors variations is somewhat subtle, a lot is happening where the various glazes meet. There are little streaks of bright iridescent red copper where another pieces of cobalt glaze are touching each other. There's sort of rivulets of color falling down in between them, little touches of iridescence up and down. Beautiful, delicate blue iridescent interior from the angle that I'm seeing, which obviously you can't see. There's a bright purple red coming up around the surface of this rim. So in every direction I'm turning it, I'm seeing new colors that I'd forgotten were here. It's aqua, turquoise, ultramarine at different intervals. Somebody with a home with a blue interior, this piece is just going to pop and sing and look different with every change of the light of the day. It's a very nice, large piece. You can see it's maybe 10 inches tall. I've got the exact dimensions written down, but this is something that will bring a lot of drama to a home, and it is very good value. And last but not least, the pièce de résistance, which is my pride and joy of the batch, which is a titled pot. I called it Bluejay. I think that should be fairly obvious why it has that title. Although I didn't want to do something as mundane as just paint pictures of blue jays on a pot. I think I'll leave that to some of my forebears in the art pottery movement that could paint illusionistic birds from morning till dusk. That's not my particular skill set, and I wanted something a little more special going on there. We're from, as you probably know, I'm located in Michigan, and Michigan is a beautiful state, but our butterflies are white, our flowers are white, our birds tend to be brown, and when anything of color shows up in our environment, particularly in wintertime, it's notable and to be noticed and to be cherished, and blue jays are some of the few birds that we see that really are a strong note of color passing across a backyard, and I love them. And I kept seeing blue jays passing through. We had sort of a nest of them nearby, and I thought, boy, wouldn't that be a beautiful color for a pot? But I didn't want to just depict a blue jay, so I sort of mentally disintegrated a blue jay, perhaps deconstructed one, and created something like a dozen blue jays in flight, little pieces of them flashing through the night, through the day, through the backyard. And so we have every color that I could find on a blue jay with the motion sort of captured on this pot. It's also a silken matte pot, which is something comparatively new in my repertoire. It's iridescent overall, but it has the feeling of satin, the beautiful texture nonetheless. Every imaginable shade of blue that you could find on a blue jay as it's hitting the light is here. There's brilliant turquoise, lapis blue, periwinkle, lighter sky blue, violet, and there are chevrons of bright metallic gold as the wings of a bird flying upward and facing upward. The black and dark passages that you see on the wings of a blue jay are here also, all sort of waving in motion. So it's hard to know where the sky begins and the blue jay leaves off. This is a pot that you could build a whole room around, but yet it's melodious. There's a lot of energy, effort, and imagination. When I labored over this pot in my mind for quite a while before it actually was executed. I'm proud of it, and I think it's something that you might quite enjoy. It's got a nice copper interior also. I think that pretty much, I'll turn it a little more slowly that it might be seen and enjoyed, because I can see that there is a lot here to focus on. This is my personal favorite. Well, I think at light speed that concludes today's installment of these pots. I hope you continue to enjoy this mechanism of seeing them, and I thank George for all his efforts in getting these photographs out. These pieces will be available as they have been at the show place in New York City, and they can be bought directly through me or through the website as they have been. If you'd like to call me on the phone, I'm very happy to talk to you, as I always am. And I can explain, I can work out all kinds of interesting arrangements for you, because I am ready to accommodate my customers at all times. Your patronage is essential to the welfare of this business, to my personal welfare, and to my ability to continue to do what I'm doing. I value you very much. Don't be a stranger. Keep talking to us, because we always enjoy talking to you and seeing you. Thank you.